She brought laughter to America as the spirited, no-nonsense granny on the Beverly Hillbillies, but away from the spotlight, Irene Ryan led a life quite different from the backwoods matriarch she brought to life. Her career stretched across vaudeville, radio, Broadway, and television, proving she was far more than just granny. She was a seasoned entertainer with decades of experience. So, what unfolded after the filming stopped? From her marriage and financial achievements to the mysterious abandoned house tied to her name, Ryan's later years took a surprising and sorrowful turn. Tragically, just as she embarked on a fresh chapter in her professional journey, misfortune struck. Join us as we explore the captivating, lesser-known tale of Irene Ryan, her ascent to stardom, her final moments, and the enduring legacy she left for others. Irene Ryan, originally named Irene Noble, entered the world on October 17, 1902, in El Paso, Texas, and discovered her passion for performing early on. At the tender age of 11, she took the stage at San Francisco's Valencia Theater in an amateur contest, earning a $3 prize for her rendition of Pretty Baby. Her talent shone brightly even then, hinting at her future in the limelight, though it would take a few more years for her career to truly begin. By 14, eager to break into the industry, she secured a position with a California stock company, stretching the truth about her age since state child labor laws deemed her too young to work. Academics never captured her interest. She finished just 2 years of high school before dedicating herself fully to theater. Over the next 4 years, she refined her skills in stock theater, preparing to carve out a name in show business. Irene thrived in musical comedy and variety performances, traveling throughout California to entertain audiences. It was during this period that she crossed paths with Tim Ryan, a fellow vaudeville artist. They soon formed a partnership, both professionally and personally, tying the knot in 1922. Their bond endured for 20 years, not only as spouses but also as collaborators, achieving considerable success in the entertainment realm. Having established themselves in vaudeville, Irene and Tim Ryan transitioned their talents to radio, where they launched their own show, Tim and Irene. The pair gained fame for their comical Dumb Dora routine, featuring a lovable yet scatterbrained character that won over listeners across the country. This rising popularity earned them spots on prominent programs like The Rudy Vallee Show and The Bob Hope Show. As Irene's comedic gifts sparkled on the airwaves, she also began leaving her mark in films. Together with Tim, she starred in a series of comedy shorts, appearing in 11 movies as a team. Some standout titles included The Wacky Family in 1936, Hamlet and Eggs in 1937, and Will You Stop in 1937. Their on-screen rapport reflected their real-life connection, but despite their professional triumphs, their marriage concluded in 1943. After 2 decades together, Irene and Tim parted ways romantically. Yet, their split did not fully end their collaboration. They continued working together on film projects even after separating. As World War II unfolded, comedian Bob Hope devoted himself to entertaining American troops overseas. Having previously collaborated with him on The Bob Hope Show, Irene was enthusiastic about contributing. She joined Hope's USO tours, journeying worldwide to perform for soldiers, visit veterans' hospitals, and spread cheer to those in need. Her dedication persisted beyond the war. She supported troops during the 1948 Berlin airlift, boosting morale with her performances. Bob Hope, who knew the value of humor in tough times, once spoke about the significance of their efforts. "Believe me when I say that laughter up at the front lines is a very precious thing. Precious to those grand guys who are giving and taking the awful business that goes on there," he remarked. "There's a lump the size of Grant's tomb in your throat when they come up to you and shake your hand and mumble, 'Thanks.' Imagine those guys thanking me. Look what they're doing for me and for you." For Irene, bringing happiness to soldiers was more than just a gig. It was a meaningful way to give back using her talents. Through the 1950s, Irene Ryan kept building her career, landing roles in various television shows. However, despite her status as a respected actress, nothing matched the pivotal moment awaiting her in the 1960s. When the Beverly Hillbillies was being developed, Ryan set her sights on portraying Granny Daisy Moses, the bold, straightforward matriarch central to the Clampett family. Yet, despite her vast experience, she nearly missed out on the role. The show's creator, Paul Henning, depended on his casting agent to find the ideal granny, but Irene wasn't their top pick. The agent believed she didn't suit the part, a view that irked Irene. Unwilling to be dismissed, she took action, calling Paul Henning herself to plead her case. "Look, Paul, do I have to go home and get my gray wig and shawl to convince you?" she asked boldly, as reported by the El Paso Times. "If you get anybody older to play the role, she won't be able to stand the pace. I know what those 7-to-7 schedules are like." Her determination and self-assurance earned her a second audition. Henning later shared a slightly different recollection with TV legends. He said Irene dropped by his office one day, and he asked if she could handle playing a hillbilly. Without hesitation, she replied, "Are you kidding? I was in a stock company, and we played a theater in Arkansas. We kept waiting for the curtain to go up backstage, and finally, when it didn't, we went to the manager and asked why he hadn't let the people in. He said if he let them in before the curtain went up, they'd whittle away the seats. So yeah, I know hillbillies." That story sealed it for Henning. Irene Ryan possessed not only the experience, but also the perfect wit and tenacity to embody Granny Moses. Paul Henning remembered that during screen tests, Irene Ryan's audition erased any uncertainty about who should play Granny. Biba Nattarit was there to try out for the role of Granny, Henning noted. And as soon as Irene Ryan read the part, B came over to me and said, "There's Granny. She was just wonderful." With that, Irene clinched the role that would shape her career. Granny Daisy Moses on the Beverly Hillbillies. Debuting in 1962, the sitcom swiftly became a cultural sensation. The series followed Jed Clampett, portrayed by Buddy Ebsen, a humble rural man who struck it rich with oil on his land. Rather than staying in his familiar countryside, he moved his family to Beverly Hills, sparking a funny clash between rustic ways and upscale living. Alongside Ebsen, the cast featured Max Baer Jr. as the slow-witted yet endearing Jethro Bodine, Donna Douglas as the kind and lovely Ellie Mae Clampett, and naturally Irene Ryan as Granny, the tough, no-nonsense matriarch who kept the family in check. Viewers adored the show immediately. Within 3 weeks of its premiere, the Beverly Hillbillies soared to the #1 spot, achieving the fastest climb to the top in TV history per IMDb. It even outdid Bob Hope's iconic show in audience surveys, a feat unmatched by any other program then. Behind the scenes, producers guarded a few secrets to preserve the show's charm. Decades later, the Beverly Hillbillies endures as a treasured classic, with reruns still delighting new viewers. Even after landing the role, Ryan never grew complacent. Though the Beverly Hillbillies became a massive hit, she harbored a lingering worry that her job might vanish. In a 1965 chat with the Star Gazette, she confessed, "I'm the first one on the set for every scene. All my life I've been on time. I was always scared I would be fired, and you know something? I'm still scared." That anxiety had roots. Ryan had spent her career hustling, from vaudeville tours to radio gigs to shifts into TV and film whenever chances arose. Show business was fickle, and she learned early never to assume stability. Even at her career's height, she stayed alert, ready for the chance that it could all shift suddenly. Irene Ryan was 59 when she first played Granny in the Beverly Hillbillies. One striking aspect of her portrayal of Granny Daisy Moses was how much older she seemed on screen than she actually was. When the show launched in 1962, Ryan was just 59, nowhere near the aged matriarch she convincingly depicted. Granny, who often spoke of the Civil War and 19th century days, was meant to be in her 80s. As Jed Clampett's mother-in-law, with Jed himself no youngster, Granny was shown as a hardy old woman, deep into her later years. Even when the series wrapped in 1971, Ryan was still under 70, far younger than Granny's supposed age. To close this gap, the show's makeup team worked wonders. Each filming day, Ryan underwent an elaborate process with heavy makeup to age her face. They applied wrinkles, shadows, and contouring to deepen lines, making her look much older than her years. Her iconic gray wig and frumpy, old-style outfits completed the look. The aging techniques on the Beverly Hillbillies were so skillful that viewers then had no clue Ryan wasn't truly elderly. Those methods later became common in TV and film, shaping makeup styles in shows like The Golden Girls. On the lower resolution TVs of the 1960s and 1970s, the effect was flawless. Only with high-definition tech years later did some tricks stand out. Still, Ryan's acting was so believable that even now, few question her age. Irene Ryan played Granny across all 274 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies. The show concluded in 1971 after 9 seasons. By then, it had earned multiple award nominations and wins, including recognition for Irene. She received Emmy nods in 1963 and 1964, both for outstanding continued performance by an actress in a series. Irene Ryan longed to play Granny as long as possible. If one word was absent from her vocabulary, it was retirement. Ryan had no intention of stepping back from acting. She wanted to keep the role forever. In a Sydney Morning Herald interview, she stated plainly, "Retire, honey? I want to die with my boots on." For her, stopping wasn't an option. Her triumph on the Beverly Hillbillies was her dream come true. though she found fans only knew her by her voice. "My voice always gives me away," she said. "I can walk down the street and not be noticed until I speak. Then everyone turns around." During that interview, she was in Sydney for a special event at the South Sydney Junior Leagues Club. She kept her act's details secret but hinted that some of Granny's classic items were packed in her bags. Bringing Granny to the stage didn't faze her. Audiences adored the character live. "People love Granny on stage. I did her in Las Vegas and she went down like a bomb," she said, highlighting the role's huge appeal. Though tied to Granny, Ryan differed from the stern, tough matriarch she portrayed. Off-screen, she was warm and kind, with a career spanning over 50 years across nearly all entertainment fields. Only one type of show eluded her. "I won't say how old I am, but I've played in every type of show business for over 50 years except burlesque. I was never the type," she chuckled. Regardless, she had no plans to ease up. "I want to go on playing Granny till I drop. I think that when people say retire, they just lay down and die." After the Beverly Hillbillies ended, Irene Ryan didn't linger in Hollywood long. Instead of sticking to film or TV, she returned to her first passion, live theater. She told the El Paso Times, "Nothing will ever take the place of the live stage for an actor, but television's here to stay, and it's about the greatest entertainment medium we've ever known." Ryan embraced a new challenge on Broadway, taking the role of Berthe, the lively grandmother in Bob Fosse's musical Pippin. Even in her 70s, she enthralled audiences, earning a 1973 Tony Award nomination for Best Featured Actress in a Musical. This joined her 2 Emmy nominations from the Beverly Hillbillies in 1963 and 1964. Her rendition of No Time at All was an instant hit, stopping shows night after night. The New York Times lauded her show-stealing power, noting, "In Pippin, as those who have seen the show know, she was on stage for only about 10 minutes and stopped the show cold." John Rubinstein was left on stage after her exit, unable to speak his next line until her applause diminished. At just 5 feet 2 inches, Ryan was petite but bursting with energy, often lingering backstage with the crew long after her part ended. Even at 70, she matched Broadway's brisk pace, managing the offstage bustle like someone far younger. Financially, Ryan built a secure life through wise investments and frugal saving. Her net worth reached $1 million by her passing on April 26, 1973. She acted until her final moments, suffering a stroke during a stage performance. She was flown to Los Angeles, where she later died. Her official causes of death were glioblastoma and arteriosclerotic heart disease. Irene Ryan cherished acting above nearly all else. She stayed devoted to her craft to the end, reflecting the same resolve and spirit that made Granny on the Beverly Hillbillies so memorable. Ryan's dedication wasn't limited to her art. She was equally passionate about helping others. She founded the Irene Ryan Foundation to aid aspiring young actors. True to her giving spirit, she ensured her wealth would benefit others after her death. The press of Atlantic City reported that Ryan left her full fortune, over $1 million, to a scholarship fund for students. With no immediate family, she willed her entire estate to the foundation, establishing scholarships for theater students, a legacy still aiding new talent today. In her last days, Ryan performed in Pippin on Broadway, debuting at 70 as Berthe, a stately yet spirited medieval grandmother. Her work earned a Tony nomination, affirming her lasting skill. But on March 10, 1973, she collapsed mid-performance and was rushed to St. John's Hospital in Los Angeles. On April 26th, she suffered a stroke and passed away. Buddy Ebsen, her Beverly Hillbillies co-star, called her a joy to work with, a feeling echoed by many who knew her. On TV stage or through her foundation, Ryan was a beacon, shining on decades after her death. Irene Ryan left a legacy of humor, keen wit, and unforgettable roles. Yet, a lesser-known fragment of her story is the abandoned house she once owned. Now in disrepair, the home quietly recalls the actress's life beyond Hollywood. While her Granny Clampett role made her famous, her real residence told another tale. Unlike the grand Beverly Hills mansion on TV, her actual home was far simpler. Over time, the property has succumbed to nature's reclaiming touch. Urban exploration tales and reports suggest it remains mostly untouched, with furniture, personal items, and career relics scattered within. Some claim old newspaper clippings, framed photos, and memorabilia still sit on dusty shelves, offering a peek into her life off camera. Ryan died in 1973, leaving her fortune to aspiring actors via the Irene Ryan Foundation. Her home, once vibrant, now stands as a neglected piece of Hollywood's golden era. Still, Beverly Hillbillies fans cherish her memory, not just for Granny's antics, but for her real generosity and commitment to her craft. Though her house may be forsaken, Her legacy holds strong. If you like this deep dive into Daisy, Granny Moses, and Irene Ryan, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more like this. Stay tuned for more.